and welcome to the special interview with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who is on a visit here in Kuwait, marking the 15th anniversary of launching the Istanbul Cooperation Initiative that makes Kuwait an active member in NATO in addition to hosting the regional center of NATO. First of all, we would like to welcome you to Kuwait, and we wish you a pleasant stay here in Kuwait. And it's a great privilege and honor to have you here with us today.
It's a great honor for me to be here, and it has been a great privilege to be in Kuwait and to commemorate, to celebrate 15 years of cooperation between NATO allies and Kuwait and some of the other countries in the Gulf region. Of course, we are different countries, but we share many of the same challenges. We are faced with the same security threats, and therefore we need to work together. We need to strengthen our political cooperation, but also our practical cooperation. And it's also great to be here at this regional center, the NATO ICI Center in Kuwait, which demonstrates how we actually have been able to strengthen our both political and practical cooperation.
We learned that you met with the Kuwaiti leadership. Could you tell us a little bit more about the main topics being discussed with the Kuwaiti leadership?
I had the honor of meeting His Royal Highness the Emir this morning and also His Royal Highness the Prime Minister in two separate meetings, and that was extremely useful. I'm impressed by their leadership and by their very strong commitment to working with NATO allies, addressing a wide range of different challenges, including our joint efforts to fight international terrorism. Both Kuwait and NATO allies are part of the global coalition to defeat Daesh. We have made enormous progress in that fight, liberating the territory that Daesh controlled in Iraq and Syria, liberating millions of people. But at the same time, as I discussed with His Royal Highness, we all know very well that Daesh still is a threat. It is a possibility that they will try to come back, and we also see that they try to get a foothold to establish themselves in other parts of the world. So we need to continue to work together in the fight against international terrorism, and NATO has a training mission in Iraq because to train local forces we believe is the best tool in the fight against terrorism. And I commend Kuwait for taking part and contributing to the international fight against terrorism. That is something which is important for this region, but also for all NATO allies.
15 years have been passed since the launch of NATO's Istanbul Cooperation Initiative. During this period, what strategic goals have been achieved so far, and what are the futuristic perspectives that you have for NATO in the coming period?
Well, the most important thing we have achieved is that we have been able to bring countries in this region and NATO allies much closer together. So when we face the same challenges and the same threats, then of course just to try to develop a common understanding, a common situational awareness, a common analysis and assessments, that is extremely important. And through political meetings, political dialogue, engagement at all levels, from the heads of state and down to staff members, we have developed a much stronger political unity and common understanding. Second, we also work together on a lot of practical issues. This regional center here in Kuwait, which we inaugurated in 2017, is one example. Here we do training, seminars, education courses, where people from the ICI countries, the Istanbul Cooperation Initiative countries, including Kuwait, NATO allies, participate, and by doing that we increase our ability to work together. We share best practices, knowledge, and that's a practical cooperation which benefits both the countries in this region, but also, of course, the members of the NATO alliance. Then we have to address a wide range of issues, fighting terrorism, but also making sure that we have secure sea lines of safe sea lines of communications. Cyber attacks, cyber defense is an issue we need to, and we're actually working together. And what we call military interoperability, that we are developing the ability for our forces to operate together in missions and operations. So we have achieved a lot, but the message from the meeting today is that we need to further strengthen our cooperation.
The state of Kuwait is considered as an important place for NATO by hosting regional center of NATO for states partaking in the Istanbul Cooperation Initiative. How do you describe the status of the state of Kuwait in this regard?
We are extremely grateful for Kuwait's contribution and support to our cooperation, our partnership, but also to different NATO missions and operations, including providing support for our training mission in Afghanistan. We have to prevent Afghanistan from becoming a safe haven for international terrorism again, and therefore we appreciate very much support from Kuwait and other countries helping us to do that. We also appreciate, of course, the fact that Kuwait is providing humanitarian help to people who are suffering in this region, including refugees from Syria, and we also provide humanitarian aid to other people and other countries around the world. And thirdly, we welcome the fact that Kuwait is playing a role bridging some of the differences, trying to reconcile some of the different opinions and positions we see among countries in this region. So to try to lower the tension and to strengthen political dialogue is something Kuwait does, and we welcome that.
Your Excellency, Kuwait's foreign policy is keen on bolstering the principle of regional peace and security and respect for sovereignty of other states, as well as solving international conflicts through mediation. This is a principle of the state of Kuwait that has called for during its non-permanent membership in the United Nations. How do you describe the efforts exerted by the state of Kuwait in the United Nations, and how are these perspectives go along with the visions of NATO?
Kuwait is a country that plays an important role in many ways in different political international processes, including as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. And we have followed and we have seen your very strong commitment to multilateral cooperation and also the idea of diplomacy, political dialogue as a way to solve disagreements, conflicts. We need to prevent military confrontation, therefore we need to strengthen our political and diplomatic efforts. And Kuwait has been very strong on this for a long time, and that's something which I would like to commend you for, because we all agree that we need to prevent conflict, we need to prevent military confrontation, and the best way of doing that is to pursue a diplomatic political path. And then we need countries like Kuwait, which is actually trying to do that by bringing countries together and trying to find political solutions.
Do you think the center here has achieved its goals since its establishment?
This center has been a great success. We inaugurated the center in 2017, and I would like to thank all the people who have been so instrumental in making this possible. And especially Sheikh Tamer. He has been extremely helpful, and his personal commitment to this project has been key for the success of the regional center. The regional center has proven very successful because it brings together people from many different countries, but they stay here, they get education, training courses, they meet for political dialogue, and by doing that we are actually in praxis showing how it's possible to work more closer together to address common security threats and challenges. Everything from fighting terrorism to cyber to sea lines of communications are issues which have been addressed at this regional center, and we need to do that together and this center is a tool to make sure that we do it together.
Any final thoughts you would like to share with our viewers?
My gratitude to Kuwait for hosting the 15th anniversary of the Istanbul Cooperation Initiative, which is an initiative that brings together NATO allies and countries in the Gulf region. We are extremely grateful for Kuwait hosting this, and also for the strong commitment of Kuwait to our cooperation.
Okay. Well, thank you, Your Excellency, for your time, and wish you a very pleasant stay here in Kuwait. This brings us to the end, our dear viewers, of this special interview with the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who is here in Kuwait, marking the 15th anniversary of the establishment of NATO Cooperation Initiative. And we hope to see you in future interviews. Thank you, and take care.